Hello trainers, Professor Palm here. And trainers, can you believe it that 10 years ago we were introduced to the fairy typing? I gotta say, while I'm happy that we have fairy typing, I do always wonder, do you think that maybe in a few years we'll also get another typing? If so, like I've said before, I really want to see a sound typing. But who knows, maybe we'll even get ourselves a light typing. When fairy types came to be, you know that a lot of Pokemon were given dual typing to become fairy, but even some Pokemon lost their typing because they were normal and now became fairy. For me, I think that was pretty interesting to do, but they could have kept them as normal fairy. Well, I don't really care. I think that having a fairy type is a great idea, and a lot of Pokemon I really liked out there also were given the fairy type. To be fair, I wasn't a big fan of fairy type Pokemon, but as time's gone on, I really love them now. I gotta be honest, I really did love dragon type Pokemon. I think dragon Pokemon are amazing, but sometimes it would kind of frustrate me that a lot of people out there would really spam using dragon Pokemon, and since they only had like 2 weaknesses, it made them hard to take down. Well, I gotta say one thing, when you finally had fairy type Pokemon who had the immunity to dragon type moves but were strong, oh boy, were dragons in the doghouse. You know something? Speaking of fairies and dogs, I have a great idea who to talk on. Well, why don't we go for a little walk right now, and let's bring some dog Pokemon with us. I'm of course talking about the 2 Bulldogs, Snubbull and Granbull. As a Pokemon professor, it's my job to send trainers like you off on safe journeys. Well, after you pick yourself a starter Pokemon, and of course, I'm going to give you a couple of Pokeballs so you can catch yourself more Pokemon when you're out there. While your starter might be the most loyal partner you got, sometimes when you're in the wild, you might catch yourself another Pokemon that not only will be your friend, but also will be just as loyal as your starter. Well, if you ask me, look no further than Snubbull and Granbull. Despite their appearance, these Pokemon are some of the most loyal companions you'll ever have. After all, they're based on man's best friend. The Johto region introduced dog Pokemon as the last region of the Kanto had no interest to, and it was a bit of a risk, but all in all, I'd say it was a great risk they took because we got incredible beasts like these Bulldogs, and also we got ourselves Hellhounds in the region. I really wish that we'd get another region introduce a lot more dog Pokemon. Well, at least it wasn't only these guys, as many other dog Pokemon have arose as the games have gone on. But starting off with Bulldogs was a great idea. Speaking of Bulldogs, I had no idea that the Bulldogs are going to play this weekend, so if you're a football fan out there, this is completely coincidental, but if you're cheering for the Bulldogs or you're really interested to see what games are going on, I hope the Bulldogs do great. Go Bulldogs! Granbull and Snubbull are way more bite than they are bark. But don't worry trainers, you're all good. After all, they really only bite or even fight back when they're threatened. After all, they're very loyal dogs. And kinda is interesting to see how playful they are. Sometimes appearances can be deceiving, so yeah, never judge a book by its cover, especially when they're fairy dogs. Well, I think we should start this dog walk with both of these incredible mutts. But before we begin, HTTP Koopa, I'd like to give you a very special thanks for my fairy type jersey. This isn't any old jersey. This is the one worn by Bede when you fight him at the Champion Cup. For those of you who really like Bede, if you really like fairy type, or you think the shirt looks incredible, please check out HTTP Koopa on Etsy. He makes incredible shirt designs. And why buy silly stock image t-shirts when you can give a talented artist like this good business? I hope that you check him out and always tell him Professor Palm sent ya. We could go walking right now, or maybe we can give our dogs a spa day at the groomers. After all, both of these dogs really enjoy being pampered. So I think we should start off with the model dog itself, Snubbull! Snubbull the fairy Pokemon is based on Bulldogs. Not just any Bulldog, the English Bulldog. And if you look very carefully, you'll notice it has many of the features. This includes a squat body, a very flat nose, and of course, a big droopy mouth. Snubbull's unusual pink fur and dress-like body is very reminiscent of pampered pet dogs. You know, the ones whose owners oftentimes dye their fur and sometimes dress them up in little clothes. For those of you who didn't know, back in generations 2 through 5, Snubbull was originally a normal type Pokemon. It wasn't until generation 6 introducing Fairy Type Pokemon that Snubbull went from being a normal type to a Fairy type. I have to say, I think what really played a key factor was its species name. After all, it's always been known as the Fairy Pokemon. Just like with most dogs, Snubbull are very laid-back creatures, and they really enjoy sleeping. Whether it's a wild Snubbull or one owned by a trainer, you will oftentimes find a Snubbull fast asleep in Dreamland. Snubbull are actually soft-hearted and affectionate Pokemon, so yeah, don't let its appearance fool you. These Pokemon are great to have as partners. The only problem about it is, while it tries to look intimidating, behind the facade, it's actually quite timid and oftentimes a coward. So, more times than not, you'll see Snubbull run away than want to battle. Snubbull are so affectionate that they love playing with others, especially Pokemon. But sadly, when playing with other Pokemon, especially puppy Pokemon, unlike the media where we see that the Bulldog is the bully, it's instead poor Snubbull that gets bullied by the other puppy Pokemon. As I said before, Snubbull doesn't scare a lot of Pokemon, but there are a handful of smaller Pokemon than it that Snubbull does manage to scare off. So, thankfully, it is getting the scares it wants. It also tries to growl to scare a lot of other trainers and Pokemon away. Instead, this has the opposite effect. These little growls make people adore this little Bulldog. Snubbull desperately attempts to try to appear threatening, but doing this has only made it even more popular with people, especially women. Snubbull is actually a very popular Pokemon among women. Also, so many women love this Bulldog-like Pokemon that they even frolic with it. If you didn't know, sometimes when Snubbull are all alone, they like to go in the meadow and frolic. So if you have one, then go in the meadow with your own Snubbull right now. You'll look like such a cute pair, especially if you take pictures frolicking. Just like most dogs, Snubbull enjoy being pampered by their trainers. It's very common to see trainers dress up their Snubbull. They're so popular that, in fact, a lot of department stores sell accessories exclusively for Snubbull. Also, just like the Pokemon Furfrou, Snubbull are seen as model dogs. So if you open a magazine, there's a high chance you'll see a Snubbull wearing great fashion as well as looking pretty snazzy in some of the pictures. Snubbull made its debut in the Pokemon mini-movie, Pikachu's Vacation, where it was the leader of a gang of troublemakers at Pokemon Theme Park. For the main series anime, Snubbull made its debut in the Johto Journeys episode, Snubbull Snobbery, under the ownership of Madam Muchmoney. In the movie, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, Snubbull appeared under the ownership of Lieutenant Hideyoshida as his partner Pokemon. In the core series games, Snubbull's abilities can either be Intimidate or Runaway, which also shows its true colors, as it tries to act tough, but instead it's often quick to flee. Oh, and something that you should also know is if you're going for the hidden ability, it's Rattled, which can be very helpful in battle. After all, Rattled raises the speed through the roof. Aww, look at that angry cute face. How can you not love this Pokemon? Well, good news. As loyal as it is, it becomes even more loyal, and it always likes to have fun. So yeah, it might be a cute little fairy dog, but it's time to see what happens when it grows up. It becomes even more affectionate and even more of a better partner. So, let's evolve our little Snubbull into Granbull. And trust me, this Bulldog may be tough, but it's probably going to be the greatest dog you'll ever raise. Granbull the fairy Pokemon is based on English Bulldogs, which is a breed of dog that can appear fierce, but in truth are very sweet and gentle. Bulldogs are also known to be wonderful family pets. In most media, Bulldogs are often depicted as being really strong guard dogs or very tough dogs. This might explain why Granbull has a thick collar around its neck as well as little wrist-like shackles on its wrists, kind of giving the illusion that it's a very tough Pokemon you don't mess with. For those of you who didn't know, Granbull, along with its previous evolution of Snubbull, originally were normal type Pokemon from generations 2 to 5, but because of the discovery of Fairy type in generation 6, as well as its name, the Fairy Pokemon, both Snubbull and Granbull turned from normal to Fairy type. Just like with its previous evolution in Snubbull, Granbull may have that tough and menacing appearance, but it's just a facade, because in reality, Granbull are very timid and they're also shy creatures. So yeah, having one of these Pokemon as a guard dog is downright laughable. While it may look tough, The only thing that this Pokemon will need is you to be its bodyguard. While it may fail at being a guard dog, one thing that Granbull does not fail at is being a babysitter. Because Granbull are so friendly and it happily greets others, it's great around children. In fact, it's so friendly that children love to play with this Bulldog. And of course, Granbull, being a very gentle giant, enjoys playing lots of games with children, especially hide and seek. The greatest way to bond with your Granbull is by taking it out for walks, giving it treats, and of course giving it a lot of attention and affection. If you do this, Granbull not only stay by your side at all times, but they also like to fight better, just to make their masters happy, as well as show that they're perfect show dogs. Just like a lot of dog breeds, Granbull is very laid back, and it's oftentimes you'll find this Pokemon sleeping. Whether it's a wild Granbull or an owned Granbull, it loves to sleep mostly during the day. Also, the snores that Granbull makes are so adorable, you might laugh or just find them so cute. But don't worry about laughing or having the little "aww" come out of you, because Granbull are very heavy sleepers. So yeah, they kinda take a little bit of time to wake up. Other than its purple fur, the most standout feature of Granbull are its jaws, particularly its well-developed lower jaw. And trust me, they're not for show. These things pack a very powerful bite. They rival that of the jaws of a Sharpedo and a Garchomp, as anything that Granbull bites down on will be ripped apart. But if you're afraid to touch your own Granbull or rub its head, don't worry about a thing. Granbull rarely bite. They love to be affectionate, but if they feel that they're in danger or they feel enraged, oh boy, are they gonna bite down and give you a bite you'll never forget. There have been some people that even have scars of this bite. So yeah, mistreating a Granbull is a price you really don't want to pay. Granbull oftentimes look down towards their trainer and other Pokemon, but this is not done in a mean way. It's a way for it to feel comfortable. Because Granbull has very powerful jaws, they weigh a lot, so keeping its head straight or leveled really doesn't do that for Granbull, but when it looks down, it gets a little more comfortable. Oftentimes, it just does this, just trying to make itself look comfortable, but it scares a lot of other Pokemon off, making it look like it wants to fight, when in reality, Granbull just wants nothing to be your friend, but it has terrible neck pain. You could call Granbull many things: big-hearted, big mouth, big jaws, but one thing you could call it is a big eater. After all, those jaws aren't just for show. Granbull really loves to eat food, and because of that jaw, Granbull can eat a bunch of meals in a single day. There's been reports that Granbull has been able to have 10 servings in just a single sitting. Unlike its previous evolution with Snubbull, Granbull unfortunately aren't seen as cute Pokemon anymore, and they're not really seen as fun to dress up. Also, they don't really like to do that anymore, and they don't like to frolic. However, they still do love being around people, and they also really do love companionship. Granbull made its debut in the Pokemon movie, Spell of the Unknown, where it was owned by trainer Lisa. This Pokemon was only used for a cameo in the montage battle, and it was sadly not used anymore in the movie. Granbull made its main series debut in the Pokemon Johto League Champions episode, The Trouble with Snubbull, where Madam Much Money Snubbull evolved into Granbull after it reunited with her after running away. In the core series games, Granbull had two abilities, being either Quick Feet or Intimidate, but before Generation 4, its other ability instead of Quick Feet was Runaway, which pretty much shows its timid nature, hiding behind that very strong facade of intimidation. Also, if you want to use this thing competitively, it has the hidden ability of Rattled, which can be very helpful when angry, as Rattled makes Granbull's speed rise through the roof! Before Generation 6 introduced Fairy Type, Granbull and Snubbull were Normal-type Pokemon, so if you go back to play any of the games from Generations 2 through 5, you'll know for a fact that Granbull and Snubbull were Normal-type, so their only weakness was fighting. And as you know, Normal has no strength, but it does have one immunity, and that of course is to Ghost. So yeah, having no strength, one immunity, and one weakness is what made them Normal. But soon, they became Fairy types, and oh boy was that a game changer. As of Generation 6, when Snubbull and Granbull became Fairy types, they gained strengths, but they also gained a few new weaknesses. So fighting is no longer a weakness, but don't use your Snubbull or Granbull against poison. And the other weakness being steel. Kind of sad that they now gained 2 weaknesses when they only had 1. But on the bright side, Granbull and Snubbull also gained strengths. After so many years of having no strengths, it was so nice to see Granbull and Snubbull finally gain themselves a couple of strengths. And after all the super effective hits they had taken from fighting type Pokemon, they could finally fight back. So, if you want to use these Pokemon competitively, use them against Fighting, Dark, and Dragon. But not just is Dragon a strength, it's also an immunity. That's right, no matter what Dragon move hits Granbull or Snubbull, it will do 0 damage. Despite Granbull and Snubbull being turned into pure Fairy type Pokemon in Generation 6, they sadly don't learn a lot of Fairy type moves, which is rather upsetting. However, I think they make up for it with all the Fang moves they learn, including Bite and Crunch as well. So yeah, ever been told a dog's more bark than bite? Well, here's a case where both of these Bulldogs are more bite than bark. You want to know something kind of funny? Granbull and Snubbull are both based off of English Bulldogs, but the one region that is based off of England or the United Kingdom, the Galar region, you cannot get these Pokemon on either the normal dex or even the national dex. Like, how is that possible? They're based off English Bulldogs that are from England, and you have a region based off of England, and you miss the opportunity to put those in? Like, that's crazy. Can you imagine if you had a region based off of Africa and you didn't put in any of the previous lion Pokemon? If you're a dog lover and you're looking for a good dog Pokemon to go with you on your journey, there are plenty that you could choose, but I definitely would recommend that you go with Snubbull or Granbull. The main reason why is these Pokemon are so affectionate, and at the same time, they'll always be by your side. Also, who doesn't want to dress up their dog or have their own dog look really cool with them? And by the way, even if they're timid and also cowardly, at least they'll always be with you and make sure that you're doing well. And hey, sometimes they even care about your well-being, as they really like to make everyone happy. Sit! Stay! Good dogs! Well, yeah. Also, if you really liked prize pooches, then look no further than Snubbull and Granbull. Not only are they loyal dogs, but they also do incredible tricks. So yeah, if you really want to see what else they do, look no further than capturing a couple of these Pokemon. Not only can they bring you a lot of luck, but they also will win a lot of competitions because they really love to entertain lots of people. Companionship is always important, whether it be human or Pokemon. And hey, a lot of us like to go places with another person, or even another Pokemon. So yeah, if you want loyalty, and you want something that really will make you feel happy, as well as a best friend, then why not go with a Pokemon based off of man's best friend? And hey, dogs are always a good companion. Even if they can't always defend you, at least you know that you'll always have each other's backs.
Ah, welcome back, trainers. How were Snubbull and Granbull? Were they well behaved? Or were they misbehaving? That all depends what you tell me if they're going to get treats or not tonight. Did you take them for a walk? Or did you take them to be pampered at the spa? Oh, and I'm kind of curious to talk about dog Pokemon right now, about who's your favorite Pokemon dog out there? Or has your favorite dog breed not yet been made into a Pokemon? If it did, what typing do you think it should be? Speaking of dog breeds, as we know that Snubbull and Granbull are English Bulldogs, wouldn't it be amazing if we had a Pokemon Legends game for the Unova region and we had them turned into American Bulldogs? I wonder what they would look like. Well, I guess that's for us to decide. I also am curious to know from you trainers. Well, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you have any questions out there, you want me to cover any other lines, or you want to answer any of the questions I proposed, please comment. And as always, if you like what you saw and you want to see more, smash that subscribe button. Anyone out there who's a Bulldog fan, go Bulldogs! Thanks for watching. Palm out!